Good morning, simulation farmers. Welcome back to another episode of To Be Real. I'm your host, Charm. Today, I am recording outside of my job. Hopefully, you guys cannot see my school logo or my whatever work logo. I don't know if that's like illegal for me to show. I don't think it is. However, I do talk about things that I probably wouldn't want my job knowing that I used to do. So I don't know, don't report me to my job. Anyways, today's episode is going to be part 2 of what we were talking about in the last episode, which has to do with self-sabotages. We are going to talk about getting through the self-sabotage. Last week was all about changing your perspective, giving yourself a different mindset on the purpose of self-sabotage and giving it a new meaning, giving it a new definition, and understanding that anything that you consider a setback can be viewed as a setup. It just depends on if you are willing to change your definition and therefore change your experience of whatever the drawback was, however the self-sabotage was manifesting itself. Lucky for you guys, I only have 30 minutes to record before I have to go in. And so I will try and keep this episode short and brief and concise. So yes, this episode is going to be all about overcoming your self-sabotage stage, overcoming that phase where you feel stuck, where you feel unmotivated, where you just know your subconscious is sabotaging you. And so that being said, let's get right into the episode. First, you're going to want to work on your subconscious fears and your subconscious limiting beliefs. And they will come up when you want to work on something. You will feel that resistance. You will feel some sort of emotion. Say you have an assignment to get done, or for me, say I needed to record. I would feel that sense of just discomfort and stress and anxiety and just feeling like I couldn't do it. And like I talked about before, the best way to access your subconscious mind is to write to it. That's a way that you can do it consciously instead of like hypnotizing yourself and, going into deep states of meditation. You can do that as well. But something that you can do at any point is write to yourself. And you use this tool or this phrase that says, I am choosing to feel X emotion about X situation because I believe it serves me in, and allow your subconscious mind to fill in the blank. Once your subconscious fills in that blank, first, validate it because it's going to be super valid. Your subconscious just wants to keep you safe. It's not worried about you living your best life and stepping into your highest timeline. It just wants to keep you safe and in a place that feels familiar and, in the known. It doesn't want you to step into the unknown. Its job is to protect you. Ever since you were a child, your subconscious mind was in charge of analyzing everything that was going on as a first-time human being on this earth and creating all of these beliefs and all of these, sets of code that it was going to act on in order to keep you safe. During the first, 7 years of being alive, you are in a hypnotic state, basically. I want to say the theta state, if not delta. I think delta is the lowest, but I think it's the theta state. And those are the slowest brain waves. And it's basically you being in a trance, in a hypnotic state. And that's why the majority of your limiting beliefs will be rooted in something that you experienced as a child. However, as a child, you did not have the knowledge, the intelligence, the emotional capacity to fully process and understand all of the things that you were experiencing as a child. You may have experienced neglect from a parent or, just something traumatic that you experienced as a child that you processed as meaning something about yourself or, saying like, I have to be super helpful in order to be worthy. Like I'm only going to be safe if I keep the peace. All of these things were not true. However, as a child, you were hypnotized and, basically brainwashed into believing that that is what you had to do in order to survive. As an adult, it's your job. And they do say your trauma is not your fault. However, it is your responsibility to heal. So it's your job, it's your duty, and you owe it to, the version of yourself that your younger self dreamt of becoming. You owe it to them to go back and, with the help of somebody else, if you are not skilled in practicing this yet, or if you do feel really comfortable exploring your past emotions and past triggers and traumas, or at least the smaller ones, especially the ones that have to do with, achieving something. It might be, you got laughed at school when, you stood up to recite something and then you just felt like, it was unsafe to be in front of a big crowd. And so now anytime that you get in front of a big crowd, you stutter and you stop and your hands get clammy and you're stressed. That is a form of self-sabotage, or, a form of a subconscious block coming up as self-sabotage, because your subconscious mind says, this is unsafe. This is unsafe. I have to go. Fight, flight, or freeze. I have to go. This is unsafe. It recalls the emotions tied into the past memory of the very first time that happened, when it learned this is not safe for me. Maybe it was just like those shitty, like 13-year-olds that laughed at you, and like everyone is shitty at 13. And so, yeah, they laughed at you and they were rude and they hurt your feelings, but you were still relatively safe. They weren't throwing things at you, hopefully. And if they were, hopefully they weren't things like daggers or knives or something like that. You weren't actually unsafe. And even if you were, just because the sensation feels familiar or the situation feels familiar doesn't mean that you can ascribe to it the exact same emotions, feelings, and reactions that you did to the first time that you experienced it. Unless you're actually in danger, now that you are, standing up in front of your company or, your boss or whatever to give some sort of presentation, unless you are in a situation where you are actually in danger, it's not logical for you to ascribe the same sense of fear and, have the same emotional reaction to the situation if it's not proportionate to what is actually directly happening to you right now. And so that being said, it's deeply important to access your subconscious mind in order to understand why it is sabotaging you, or, I want to say sabotage, quote unquote, because we already talked about changing our perspective on it, how it's not sabotage. It's just your nervous system trying to keep you safe, your subconscious mind trying to keep you safe, because your spirit has gotten ahead of your nervous system. And your nervous system is like, in shock, and it's like, no, we can't do that. No, sabotage this. No, because I don't want this to happen, because I will not be safe. And so it's, yes, sabotage in a sense, but is it really sabotage if it's something that you're trying to do to keep somebody safe? Maybe you know that somebody is trying to run away, and so you sabotage their plans by taking away their keys. You thought they were going to be unsafe, but maybe they're getting away from somebody that is extremely abusive, and they know that the best thing for them to do is to run away. That's basically what your subconscious is doing. It thinks that whatever you're about to do is so unsafe and you're probably going to die. And so it sabotages you. And to a degree, your subconscious mind is right. You are going to die, but not in a literal sense. Your past self must be sacrificed in order to be able to step into this new version of yourself. Yes, a sacrifice is involved. And yes, it is that of your old self, that which is the only thing that your subconscious mind, your ego knows. And so, yes, the idea of becoming something new, someone new, is going to be absolutely terrifying, horrifying to your ego, to your subconscious mind, that all it wants to do is stay alive, keep you safe, and not die. And so you have to give your mind, your subconscious mind, a different perspective. In the same way that I gave you guys a whole episode on shifting your perspective on, the purpose of setbacks and a different perspective on what self-sabotage actually is, your subconscious mind needs that same perspective shift in order to expand its awareness and now be able to hold a different truth along with, yes, I am afraid. However, what I am trying to step into, the life that I'm trying to step into, is actually more safe and better than this familiar known. The unknown actually has the capacity of holding more positive and wellness and well-being for me than the current state of familiarity and known that I am, for a reason, trying to move away from. And so, yes, understanding that you are recalibrating, your energy is recalibrating to match where your spirit already is. But that takes a little bit of time, and it takes a little bit of, massaging your subconscious and a little bit of cajoling? Is that a word? I think the definition of cajole is basically to like massage someone, or not massage, but like to help soothe someone into changing their mind, if that makes sense. I want to say the word is cajole. Persuade. That is the word that I was trying to look for. Persuade to do something by sustained coaxing or flattering. You want to coax your subconscious mind. You want to persuade your subconscious mind to view it in a different way. Anyways, SAT word, cajole, C-A-J-O-L-E. Love that for us. And so give yourself time to recalibrate. Understand why your subconscious mind is causing you to self-sabotage, and give it a new perspective as to why it is safe and why you desire to step into your new reality and what you would like to believe, the thoughts and feelings and beliefs that are in accordance to you experiencing that reality. You are experiencing fear. You are experiencing nervousness. You are experiencing, doubt. You tell your subconscious mind, I want to be so excited about this situation. I want to, go in and just, be so ready and just feel so fulfilled. That's what I want to feel about the situation that I'm walking into. And so you give it a different perspective and you give it new coding to execute. Next, hold on to the identity that you are trying to step into without looking for proof in the external reality. We've talked about this before. As conscious creators of our reality, we understand that we define our external reality. Our external reality does not define us. And so even while you're experiencing this quote unquote self-sabotage, even when you are not acting in the way that you are supposed to be acting, don't allow that to tell you and define to you whether or not you have stepped into this new reality. Yes, you have. The only reason that you are experiencing self-sabotage is because you already have experienced that new reality, and now your subconscious mind is trying to reel you back in. If you had never experienced that, your subconscious mind wouldn't feel unsafe and it wouldn't be sabotaging you. And so you literally are on the precipice. You literally have stepped one foot in there and then your subconscious mind yanked you back into your current reality. However, you need to stay aware in that knowledge. No, I've made it. I'm there. Spiritually, vibrationally, I'm there. It's just a matter of allowing my nervous system to catch up and allowing myself to recalibrate, my energy to recalibrate, so I can now be taking aligned action inside of this physical reality. For example, these last 6 to 8 months when I was not recording, but I had started recording back in February, March, I held on to that identity. I knew that I somehow, some way I was going to do it. I just knew that the time wasn't right. I've always known that this was something that was meant for me. And something about this year felt so different where I was like, no, I know that this is when things change. I was still holding on to the belief and the knowing that this time, my time would come. I didn't know what it would take. I was going to do my best. I was going to take aligned action, but I knew that my time would come. Nothing in my external reality proved that to me. I was taking yoga. I was journaling. I was doing everything except recording. I was reading. I was writing. I was doing everything except recording. I knew that somehow all of these things were bringing me closer and closer into alignment. I knew it. I feel it now that I knew it. Even if it was subconscious, I knew that everything was guiding me. I was going around it and I was giving my mind a chance to recalibrate and a chance for me to release the limiting beliefs so I could fully align my thoughts, feelings, beliefs, and actions to this reality. However, I knew that the process was in place. When you have reached this point of deep self-sabotage and you're genuinely stuck, and I don't know how long it'll take. For me, it took 6 to 8 months. And then even once I started this, I had to take a 2-week break again because my subconscious was screaming at me. It was like, no, this is too much, too fast, too soon. I'm scared. I'm terrified. I don't know what it is to be this new version of you. I don't know what that's going to feel like. I don't know if it's going to kill me to do so. And so, no, I don't want you to pursue that. No, I don't want you to have the energy. Yes, I'm going to make you feel afraid and scared and maybe you don't know enough and, maybe the ideas have run out and maybe your luck is done and that's it. But even in those 2 weeks, after I had, built that momentum and I was recording 2 to 3 times a day and I was really just doing it and I was so excited. Even during those 2 weeks, I knew I was going to get back to it. I knew that my goal would be fulfilled. Even though I was quote unquote falling behind on my recording schedule, I knew I was coming back to it. Even though nothing in my external reality was proving it. I wasn't recording. I was sort of preparing episodes, not really, but I was doing what I could. And that's the next thing. Take small steps of action. Small action is better than no action. When I was going through my 2 weeks of silence after having recorded for 2 weeks straight and just having done so much, I think it was even less, maybe 10 days straight. And I recorded 15 episodes in those 10 days. I stopped. I couldn't do it. I was so stuck. I felt so stuck. And the only thing that I could do was write down in little post-it notes on my laptop the ideas that were coming to me because the ideas were still coming, but I felt so blocked in order to record. I couldn't move forwards. But the thing that I could do, the small bit of action that I could take was to write down at least the ideas. I wasn't fully fleshing out the episode preparation. I was just writing down the idea. And that was it. And I was letting that be enough proof to me that yes, I know I'm still moving forwards. And it wasn't me rejecting it and being like, oh, well, I'm not preparing the whole episode. So that means like I'm probably never going to get back, because usually when I do get the idea, the whole episode preparation comes to me. I took that little bit of action that I could take and I called it enough. And I continued to reaffirm my mindset, reaffirm myself that yes, I know I'm here. There's no going back. There's no going back. I know that even in this time, it's just the holy pause. I know that I'm being recalibrated. I know that I'm being, pulled back in order to be shot forwards. I changed my perspective on it. And in doing so, and in, dismantling the limiting beliefs that were coming up and facing the fears that were coming up and giving my subconscious mind a different perspective, I was able to have that breakthrough. And I'm back recording and I have the ideas and I can prepare the episodes and I can record, which is all I wanted. This is the reality that I want to be living in. Yes, I would like to make this my career, but making this my career would entail me recording. And so I am already living, experiencing that reality. Am I experiencing the financial aspect of it? No. But am I experiencing the thoughts, feelings, beliefs, and actions that it would take? Are all of those things in alignment? Yes. You know how I know? Because they're taking place. They wouldn't be happening in my external reality if it wasn't all aligned. Because you have to align to your manifested reality before it can be manifested. And so take whatever small bit of action that you can. And next, don't punish yourself for being in this state of feeling stuck or being in a state of self-sabotage. Why? Because like I talked about in the last episode, that just keeps you continuing to perpetuate the same frequency of disappointment, of being upset, of feeling stuck, of feeling unworthy, of feeling like you haven't made it yet. Allow yourself to be okay with where you are and embrace it, because when you do that, you activate the frequency that you would be feeling if you were already experiencing your desired reality. You wouldn't feel like anything was wrong and like you were stuck and like, things weren't going as planned and like you were behind if you were experiencing your dream reality. You would feel like, it's okay. I'm here. I made it. It's fine. I can do this. I'll keep going. I'll take the action that I can. That is in alignment emotionally, vibrationally with the reality that you're trying to create. Your external reality isn't proving that to you. Your external reality is saying you're stuck, you've stopped, you're not in alignment. However, your internal frequency, viewing yourself through vibrational senses, you know that you're not stuck, you're recalibrating, you're not behind, you're experiencing the holy pause. You have shifted your identity to knowing who you are, no matter what your external reality is saying to you. And finally, take imperfect action. I need you to look at the whole instead of the part. Any action is better than no action. When I was scared to record, I felt like I didn't understand fully what to say in that episode. It felt like an episode that was so, uniquely personal to me that I didn't really know how to explain it, how to teach it, etc. And so I felt extremely stuck. And one thing I told myself was, if you knew that this was the last thing that you had to do in order to quote unquote make it, how long would it take you to do it? How long would it take you to do it? And in my mind, I said make it as in like, I'm monetized and this is my career. But no, making it means stepping into that new reality. And yes, stepping into that new reality does come from moving past this subconscious block. Once you have moved past this state of self-sabotage, once you have taken action in whatever it is that your subconscious mind was preventing you from taking action in, you have made it. And so take imperfect action. I decided I'm going to record. And if it sucks, I'll just re-record it. At least I'll know kind of what to say a little bit, what worked, what didn't work. And then I was like, okay, and if it sucks and I can't record it and every time I record it, it still sucks, at least I recorded it. And even if I put it out there and it sucks and it's my worst episode ever, the sum of my episodes is more important than every single individual episode. I'm not going to have incredible episodes every single time. Even if I think they're all incredible, it might not reach the target audience. It might not resonate with you guys. And you guys might be like, wow, that was her worst episode ever. However, it was about looking at the whole and saying, at least I'm going to take action, even if it's imperfect, even if it doesn't come out the way that I want it to. I'm going to move forwards and step over this threshold of fear. I've allowed myself to recalibrate. I've allowed myself to hold on to the identity. I've spoken to my subconscious mind. I've released limiting beliefs. And now the last thing to do is to take imperfect action. Just do it. Action is better than no action. And what if I told you that that was the last step that you needed to take to cross the finish line? It is. You got this. I know it. Your higher self knows it. Now it's time for you to know it. It is 12:48. I go in 2 minutes. So I'm going to wrap this up so quickly. Thank you so much again for tuning in, and I hope this has been extremely helpful to you. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I hope to see you in my next episode. Love you. Bye.